Here's the brutal truth about the Singapore market right now. If you are sitting entirely in the Straits Times Index, believing that you are diversified and safe, you might actually be walking into a slow motion trap. We are looking at an inflation rate that eats cash alive. And yet, the index heavyweights, the banks, the property developers, the telcos, they are designed for preservation, not for aggression. They will protect what you have, but they are very unlikely to double it. And for a retiree facing 20 or 30 years of rising living costs, preservation alone is simply not enough. You need growth. But where do you find it when the blue chips are asleep? The real growth isn't happening in the top 30 companies. It is happening in the underbelly of the market, in companies valued under $1 billion, where the artificial intelligence infrastructure is being built, where the supply chains are being rerouted, and where the energy transition is actually taking place. I'm Iggy, your Singapore-based market analyst. Since October 2025, we've produced over 1,300 videos and 400 articles with 1.1 million watch hours. We are also home to a growing community of over 60 YouTube Premium subscribers and 30 paid Substack members. If you are new and wondering which of those to join, let me clarify. The YouTube membership at 9 Singapore dollars is the best value because it gives you these easy listening podcast videos plus full access to the deep dive data on Substack. Substack alone is $6 for the heavy analytics, but the YouTube bundle covers both. Choose what fits your style. But today, let's dive into the numbers. We are going to look at 7 companies that are sitting in what I call the Analyst Vacuum. This is a very specific sweet spot. When the big institutional banks do not cover a stock, pricing inefficiencies occur. That gap between the actual value of the business and the market price is where alpha is generated. We are looking for boring businesses that have exciting cash flows. But before we get to the tickers, we need to understand the 3 massive tides that are lifting these boats. First, we have the semiconductor shift. You have heard about the trade wars. You know, global manufacturing is decoupling from China. But what does that mean for Singapore? It means our precision engineering firms are becoming the primary beneficiaries as production moves to ASEAN. Second, the data center boom. Singapore lifted the moratorium on data centers in 2024. That was the starting gun. AI requires massive physical infrastructure. It is not just code in the cloud. It is actual servers, cooling systems, and power in a building. And third, the energy reality check. The green transition is slower than the politicians expected. Coal demand is resilient, and companies that are smart enough to transition to a dual revenue model using fossil fuel cash to build renewable assets are winning. Let's start with the first name on the list, UMS Integration Limited. This is the quiet achiever of the semiconductor world. UMS manufactures precision semiconductor assembly and test equipment. It is unsexy, it is industrial, and it is absolutely essential. Now, let's look at the valuation metrics, specifically the forward price to earnings ratio or forward PE. Right now, UMS is trading at roughly 17.6 times its forward earnings. For those new to valuation, the PE ratio essentially tells you how much you are paying for every dollar of profit the company makes. A PE of 17 might sound high if you are used to buying banks at a PE of 10, but you have to look at the growth to understand the price. The forward earnings per share, or EPS, growth is projected at nearly 21%. So, is this expensive? Let's pause and look at the math. In finance, we use a metric called the PEG ratio, price, earnings, growth. You take the PE ratio and divide it by the growth rate. If you are paying 17 times earnings for a company that is growing at 21%, your PEG ratio is under 1. In the tech sector, paying less than 1 times growth is a very rational trade. Usually, you pay a massive premium for tech growth. Here, you are paying a fair price for a manufacturer that has already secured the contracts. Why does this matter for you? If you are relying on dividends, UMS pays about 3.7%. That is decent. But the real story here is the capital appreciation potential, driven by that 21% earnings growth. In 2025, they commenced volume production for a major new customer. This is critical because it reduces their concentration risk. For years, the bear case on UMS was that they relied too much on one client. That risk is fading and the market is slowly waking up to it. Next up, we have CSE Global Limited. This is your play on the AI data center boom. CSE provides infrastructure services. Think power, automation, and cooling systems. The metric that jumps out here is the earnings growth forecast. We are looking at a 3-year annualized growth rate of 22%. Compare that to the broader market average, which trundles along at about 12%. Now, why is this happening? It goes back to that moratorium I mentioned. When the Singapore government allowed new data centers to be built again, it opened the floodgates for institutional capital. But here's the thing, you cannot just build a data center and plug it into a wall socket. You need complex engineering to ensure the servers don't melt and the power doesn't fail. CSE is the pick and shovel play. They don't own the data. They don't own the chips. They provide the tools that make the gold rush possible. So, what is the implication for a Singaporean investor? Often we get caught up trying to pick the winner in AI. Will it be Nvidia? Will it be Microsoft? That is a hard game to play. CSE Global allows you to bet on the infrastructure itself. Whether the AI model is good or bad, the data center still needs cooling. The market is currently treating CSE like a standard boring engineering firm, but it should be valued as a tech enabler. That gap in perception is your opportunity. Now let's move to the grandfather of the list, Frencken Group Limited. Frencken makes high-precision components for everything from medical devices to automotive gears. They have paid dividends for 20 consecutive years. This is where we need to stop and talk about how we value a company like this. It is easy to look at a chart and say it looks cheap. But looks cheap is not a strategy. We need hard numbers. I didn't just guess at these numbers. I checked the Investing Pro models, and the algorithmic fair value pegs Frencken at $1.67. That represents an upside of about 23% from where it trades today. But here is what makes this interesting. It is not just the algorithm. The human analysts are even more bullish, pinning the target at $1.78. I love it when the machines and the humans agree. It gives us a massive margin of safety. This is what I call double validation. If you want to run these numbers on your own portfolio, stop guessing. I've arranged a special deal for you on Investing Pro, the same institutional data I used in this video. Use the link below with code INVESTINGIGUANA for up to 50% off. Let's look at the balance sheet for Frencken. The data highlights a pro tip that says they hold more cash than debt. Why does that matter to you? We are living in a higher for longer interest rate environment. Companies with heavy debt loads are getting crushed by interest payments. Frencken has net cash. That means they are immune to the banking squeeze. They can fund their own operations. For a CPF or SRS portfolio, where capital preservation is rule number 1, Frencken checks every single box. You are getting a potential 20 to 30% capital appreciation buffer, backed by a business model that doesn't need to borrow money to survive. Fourth on our list is Micromechanics Holdings. This company makes parts so small and precise that very few others can replicate them. But the number you need to eyeball here is the net profit margin. It has jumped from 14.4% to 19%. So is this a fluke or is it operational excellence? In a hardware business, expanding your margins by 5 percentage points is incredibly difficult. It implies they have pricing power. It implies that when their costs go up, they can pass that cost on to the customer and the customer pays it because they have no other choice. That is a moat. Let's talk about the DCF or discounted cash flow. This is a valuation method that estimates the value of an investment based on its expected future cash flows. The DCF fair value for Micromechanics sits at $2.26. With the stock trading around $1.78, you are looking at a potential 27% upside. The so what here is about quality. You are buying high margin growth at a discount to the industry average PE ratio. The industry trades at roughly 24 times earnings. Micromechanics is trading at roughly 19 times. You are buying a Ferrari for the price of a Toyota. That is a mispricing we like to exploit. Now, let's get into the controversial one. Geo Energy Resources. Geo Energy mines thermal coal in Indonesia. I know, coal is not popular. It is cyclical, it is dirty, and many funds won't touch it. But we are here to make money, not moral judgments. Here's the situation. Coal prices have rebounded, but the real story is volume. Geo Energy is scaling production via new infrastructure called MBJ, set to come online in mid-2026. This will unlock export capacity from their massive TRA mine reserves. But this stock is currently the subject of a massive tug-of-war between algorithms and analysts. I pulled the data from Investing Pro again, and this is why we don't just blindly follow one number. The quantitative models, the math, peg the fair value at 40 cents, implying a downside risk of about 7%. The algorithms look at the historical volatility of coal and get scared. They assign a low growth health score. However, the Wall Street analysts have a target of 64 cents. That is a 50% upside. Why the difference? Because algorithms look backward and analysts look forward. The algorithms see the past volatility. The analysts see the future infrastructure completion in 2026. I didn't just guess at these numbers. I checked the Investing Pro models, and while the algo is bearish, the analyst consensus is screaming buy. If you want to spot these divergences yourself, remember, I've arranged a special deal for you on Investing Pro. Use the link below with code INVESTINGIGUANA for up to 50% off. So is this a trap or is it an opportunity? When the fair value model says sell, but the analysts say strong buy, it usually means there is a specific future event that the math hasn't priced in yet. We are betting on the analysts being right about the execution of the MBJ project. And this is a higher risk play, but the reward is substantial. Number 6 is Sanli Environmental. Sanli is evolving. Formerly, they were just a water and waste engineering firm. Now, they have diversified into specialty chemicals, specifically magnesium hydroxide and renewable energy. We need to understand the difference between lumpy revenue and recurring revenue. Engineering projects are lumpy. You win a contract, you get paid, and then you have to go find another contract. It is stressful. Chemical sales and solar energy are recurring. Customers need chemicals every month. They pay electricity bills every month. The market loves recurring revenue. It pays a higher multiple for it. Sanli is in the middle of this transition. Their revenue grew 47% in the first half of 2025. The so what for your portfolio? The market hasn't fully re-rated them as a recurring revenue business yet. They are still priced like a construction firm. As the chemical segment grows, analysts will begin to value it separately, likely driving the share price higher. This is what we call a sum of the parts play. You are buying the construction business and getting the growing chemical business almost for free. Finally, number 7, BRC Asia Limited. BRC Asia dominates the steel reinforcement market in Singapore. If you see a building going up in Singapore, there is a very high chance the steel inside the concrete came from BRC. The metric to focus on here is ROE, or return on equity. This measures how efficiently a company handles the money shareholders have invested. BRC Asia has an ROE of 18%. The industry average is 7%. Let's pause. An ROE of 18% in a construction materials business is almost unheard of. It signifies total dominance in supply chain management and pricing. They have compounded earnings at 14% annually over half a decade. This is the stock that proves boring is profitable. It has quietly delivered a 393% total shareholder return over 5 years. With new construction contracts for 2026, including the massive PSA supply chain hub, the machine keeps churning. So, does this fit your retirement plan? Absolutely. This is a dividend growth machine. It fits perfectly into a strategy where you want cash flow that grows faster than inflation. So we have the list. But knowing the names is only half the battle. How do you actually execute this? You cannot just go out tomorrow and buy all 7 at market price. We need a playbook for 2026. First, use the basket approach. Do not go all in on one stock. These are small and mid-cap companies. They carry volatility. If one of them hits a snag, you don't want it to sink your portfolio. A basket of 3 or 4 of these names diversifies your risk across semiconductors, energy, and infrastructure. Second, and this is crucial, use limit orders. Liquidity on stocks like Micromechanics and Sanli can be thin. That means there aren't millions of shares trading every second. If you use a market order, you are telling the broker to buy at any price, and you might end up paying 5 or 10% more than you intended. Set your price with a limit order and wait for the sellers to come to you. Be patient. Third, watch the catalysts. For Geo Energy, you are watching for the MBJ road completion news in mid-2026. For UMS, you are watching for monthly production updates from their key client. And finally, consider your portfolio bucket. BRC Asia and Frencken are stable enough for long-term SRS accumulation. They are the bedrock. The others, like Geo Energy and CSE Global, are better suited for your cash growth portfolio, where you can tolerate a bit more swing in exchange for that double-digit growth. 2026 will be the year of the stock picker. The tide of the general index is slowing, but these 7 companies are swimming fast. If you found value in this analysis and you want to see the full deep dive data on every single one of these companies, consider joining the YouTube membership or the Substack. And if you are ready to take control of your own research, don't forget that Investing Pro discount code. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next analysis.